Well, the fallout continues here in the state of Georgia as a result of candidate Tory Branum's call to ICE, which led to 475 workers being detained at the Hyundai plant down in South Georgia. You heard that right. The woman who called ICE and had 475 workers detained down at the Hyundai plant is a candidate for Georgia District 12. She's seeking a Senate seat. She's seeking to represent the citizens of Georgia's District 12. And how do we know that she was the one that called ICE? She told us.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
I can't. It is Hyundai or Hyundai. It is definitely not Hyundai. Let me get myself together. Anywho, there you have it. She admitted that she made a telephone call to ICE, and that telephone call partially led to the raid at the Hyundai plant. Was it solely her telephone call? No. According to a spokesperson from ICE, there was an investigation that was already taking place. Anywho, 475 people were detained. 300 of those individuals were South Korean citizens. And according to South Korea and news reports coming out of South Korea, it is being said that those individuals, those South Korean citizens, had all of the proper paperwork to be here legally to work at that plant. Side note, I wanted to give you guys a visual of the plant. This is the actual plant. It is under construction. Those citizens, those South Korean citizens, were here to ensure the setup of this plant, and then they were going to train American workers to run this plant. That was the plan. Those South Korean workers were only here temporarily. Once the plant was set up and the people were trained to run the plant, it would have brought 8,500 jobs to the state of Georgia, with a total investment of jobs expected to be nearly 40,000. That would be direct and indirect jobs across the state, because it includes jobs with suppliers and other related businesses. The project represented the largest single investment in Georgia's history, and it was going to be crucial for boosting the U.S. electric vehicle manufacturing. And all of that was going to happen here in the state of Georgia. But enter white woman syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome. She is driven by white supremacy, hate, discrimination, and racism. And now that that has entered the chat, South Korea has said, bitch, you won't deport our citizens anywhere, because there's no telling where they will end up in this world or if they would ever be seen again. No, we'll charter planes and send them over to the United States to pick up our citizens. And once that happens, where does it leave this plant? Well, it will for sure be delayed in completing the building of the plant. It will for sure be delayed in hiring American workers to work at this plant. And the average salary for the worker of this plant was going to be $60,000 a year. And because of all that has transpired as a result of Tory's call to ICE, there's no guarantee that the building of this plant will be completed, which would put in jeopardy 8,500 jobs coming to fruition here in the state of Georgia. Hate, discrimination, and racism and plain old incompetence and stupidity is expensive. With all of this said, this ends my little mini-series on Tory Branum and the Hyundai plant that may never be. And as I end this series of videos on Tory Branum and her call to ICE and the Hyundai plant, I've got some questions for Tory Branum because I keep seeing this all over social media because she's being raked over the coals all over social media, being dragged from the rooter to the tutor. And with this epic dragging, this flyer keeps coming up, and I've got some questions for Tory. Tory, is this true? Were you charged with trespassing, stalking, criminal trespass stalking? Can you answer that for us? The second accusation on this flyer is that Tory Branum, then Brown, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in North Carolina and has been evicted from 2 apartment complexes. Tory, is that true? I mean, you got a lot to say in the videos that you keep posting on TikTok and all of the posts that you keep making over there on Facebook, but you're not talking about these allegations, these accusations. So I'm directly asking Tory, did you file for bankruptcy? There's nothing wrong with that. Millions of Americans have filed for bankruptcy to get their finances in order so that they can get back on track. Nothing wrong with that. We all fall on hard times every now and then. Were you evicted twice, Tory? Yeah. I'd like an answer to those 2 questions, please. You were then known as Tory Brown. Yeah. And the last accusation on this flyer says Tory Branum has been divorced at least 5 times. And then in bold print, it says, those are not our values. Those are not our values. You know what that leads me to believe, Tory? That leads me to believe that that's in relation to the Republican Party being the party of family values, which then leads me to believe that a Republican organization put this flyer out. They wanted people to know that what you are accused of and what is alleged about you and your history. That also leads me to believe that Republicans were not in full support of you, Tory, and your lifestyle. Yeah, Tory. So, have you been divorced 5 times, Tory? I tried to Google it. Nothing really came back. The only thing that came back was that you were, that during interviews, you admitted to being divorced 1 time. And you and your ex are focused on co-parenting. That's what I was able to come up with. But that flyer says that you've been divorced 5 times. Can you elaborate on that for us, Tory? I'll be eagerly awaiting your response in regards to the questions about that flyer, Tory. Before I head out, Donald Trump has put out a statement regarding the ICE raid. You guys can pause to read. I'm not going to read it. I've also checked to see if Governor Brian Kemp put out a statement regarding the raid. I checked his social media pages and I don't see a statement. Yeah, that's all I got. Y'all have a fantastic day.